podcast for Christian women. And if you're listening to us while you're driving in your car, we pray that you'll be safe. If you're listening to us in your craft room, have a good time with that. If you are listening to us while you're doing household chores, remember that that's a worthy task you are putting your hand to. Mm-hmm. If you're listening to us in the break room, thanks for bringing us with you to work. But wherever you're listening to us from, we thank you. It means a lot to us. And our hope is that this will help all of us remember Colossians 3:1-2, which talks about the fact that we've been raised with Christ. And because of that, we want to set our minds on things above and to keep seeking those things which are above. I'm Kathy Pollard, one of your hosts, and with me is Carla Moore, my dear friend and your other host. And Carla, what a great smile you have this morning. How are you doing?
I'm laughing because I love the way you introduced that this morning, but I'm thinking about one particular woman, and Onisa said that she listens to us while she walks. And I thought, well, last week she's had about 5 days worth of walking to listen to with our long podcast. So
it was a little bit long.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit long.
No, it was too long.
Yeah, today's won't be that long. Yeah. And we are going to have fun today with a more lighthearted topic, and we're going to share something good at the end, right?
Yeah.
Did I come up with something? Yes, I did. I can't remember.
I don't think I did. I'm going to have to think of something good.
I was just there thinking, I did come up with something, didn't I? Promises.
Yeah. Okay. That's where my mind's going to be thinking while we're talking about our topic.
All right. So we both have kind of a crazy fun weekend ahead of us because we're getting ready to leave the country together in a few days. And by the time this airs, we will be hopping on a plane the next morning. So, but again, we're going to try really hard to record while we're gone. I don't know if it'll be on the ship or on land or what, but.
Well, I think the next one we record, we're doing here, right? So the following week, it'll be one that we still recorded here, but then the week after that should be, anyway, we'll figure all that out.
We'll figure it out. Mm-hmm. So you just finished teaching your last class in the women's program of the quarter last night. Mm-hmm. It's hard to believe. I feel like you just started it. I feel like y'all just got there and just started the quarter.
Well, it was a little bit of a shorter quarter, I think.
Okay.
There was only seven weeks because one of those weeks was we were in Tennessee, and anyway, yeah, it was pretty quick. It's been, but it's been 2 months.
Wow.
This is October the 5th. So we've been here for a little over 2 months. Yeah.
Wow. Mm-hmm. So have you been thrifting?
I did. Mostly I've spent the thrifting time looking for some clothes for the trip. I needed a few pairs of comfy pants so that we can eat pasta and not worry about button pants. Those just don't work too well when you want to eat some pasta.
Eat some stretchy pants.
Stretchy pants. Yes. So I have several pairs of stretchy pants now, but I did find something very unique, and I'll share it in the group next week, but I'll show you. And if you're watching, you can see it's a lamp.
What?
It's huge. It's 2 feet tall, and it's made out of cocoa leaves. And I'll turn it on, maybe.
Oh, that part. Oh, I thought that was the lamp base, but that's the actual light itself.
It's the lamp. It's like it's an indoor-outdoor lamp. And
that is cool.
It's definitely not my style, but it's cool. That's very cool. That's kind of one of those things that I look for. It's just something that's unique and unusual, because usually those things are expensive. So I looked it up, and it's like a $300 lamp. So I'm not sure. It's not something I really want to ship. So I probably wouldn't put that on eBay, but I may put it on Marketplace.
How do you do that?
Well, like I said, you look for things that you can tell something's quality. You can just tell that it's not cheaply made. This is hand sewn. You can look for tags if it says made in Italy or made in the USA, anything but made in China is usually pretty quality. But there was one, I kicked myself because I was at this new ARC thrift store briefly looking for something else, and there was a leather chair, and it looked like it had been sitting outside. It had little speckle marks on it, like raindrops, and it was pretty. It wasn't torn up at all, but it just had marks on it. But I stood there, and I thought, you could just tell it was quality. It had studs all up the arms and around the base of the chair. And I sat down in it, and it was, just really, really good condition, except for the cosmetic part of it. And I tipped it up and looked at the bottom just to see if it was a brand that I recognized. And I didn't, but it said made in Italy. So Italian
Oh.
leather. And I thought it was $24.99. And so I thought, I'm just going to walk around the store. I'm going to see, what else I see. I'm going to think about it, because if I brought it to this house here in Denver, I really would need to move something out to have room for it. But I probably would want to take it home. But now we just can't take things that big home anymore. We have a smaller transport back and forth. So I was thinking through all these things in my mind. I was thinking, what would I tell John? Is he going to say,
Yeah.
what? You brought that home? Usually he's pretty excited about things. And I was thinking, I've got leather conditioner. It'd be a project chair, be kind of fun. So I went back around to get it. And I noticed it was already pulled out, and there was already a paid, when you pay for something like that, they put a sticker on it.
Somebody saw you looking at it.
I know, they probably did. And I just thought, I kicked myself. Thought, you just got to go with your gut sometimes. And I knew I should have done it right then, and I didn't. So lesson learned. Next time, don't ignore the Italian leather chair. Just get it.
If I ever see one, I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure that's the first Italian leather chair I've seen.
I will never see an Italian leather chair or a big light up leaf lamp.
Yeah.
Or a pizza oven.
Oh.
Or any number. Did you try it?
Did you try it? Oh! I tried it.
How'd it turn out?
Katie and Colton came over Friday night, and I went to Trader Joe's and got some of their pre-made pizza dough, because I just didn't have time to do anything else. Have you ever tried that?
Rubbing it in. Look at you rubbing it in that you have a Trader Joe's.
Rub it in. No, just not rubbing it in. No, because you would make your own fantastically homemade pizza dough. But anyway, so I plugged it in. I wasn't even sure it was going to plug in and work. And it did. It heated up and it worked. And I had already washed the stone inside. But it started smoking. Oh. And I was thinking, is this thing about to blow up? Or, but you could smell it, that smell of oil, like if you spill oil in the oven and how it smokes out of your oven. So I'm pretty sure that's why whoever got rid of it is because there's smoke in it. And I don't know, the pizza tasted good. It didn't taste smoky, maybe a little bit, but not much. But the whole house for 3 days, we were opening windows and airing it out and try to deodorize it. But I'm trying to figure out how to get rid of that oil. Micah said, just take it outside, crank up the heat, and let it burn off. But I'm afraid I'd melt it or something. I don't know what to do. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know.
Have you ever cleaned oil out of your oven? Maybe easy off, or I don't even know.
Oh, that stuff is so.
Maybe somebody out there listening can tell me how to get rid of the oil. And I opened it up, when it cooled off, I took the stone out, and when you touch the inside, you can feel sticky oil, kind of. So
it's really more of a burnt on oil, not just a pool of oil somewhere. Is that what you're saying?
Okay. Yeah. But I don't know. It doesn't look burned. It just looks like sticky oil. I don't know how to describe it. I'll send you a picture. Maybe you can see what you think. But anyway, it works.
Maybe those eraser things, magic erasers.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah. I haven't looked to see if the heating element can lift out, or if I just have to work around it. But it was good. It worked. It has a little window on top, so you can watch it. It cooked the pizza in, I don't know, 5 or 6 minutes, but it was still a little doughy. So, there's a lot of details to work out, but it works. So
yeah. Well, neat.
Yeah.
Well, good deal.
So what's going on in your neck of the woods?
Well, mostly I've been going it alone on the farm all week long because Neil's been out of town doing a gospel meeting. And so usually when he's out of town, I'm already trying to remember things that fall under his responsibility. So he does lock up at night. He brings me my coffee in the morning. That's not his responsibility. He just does it.
Yeah.
And, he checks the mail when he comes home from work. And we have a dehumidifier running in the basement. He's the one that goes down every day to empty it out. They're just these little tiny little tasks that I'm usually trying to remember to take care of when he's out of town. Well, this time I'm also throwing in milking Peaches twice a day and feeding her and shoveling poop. And now we have a farm stand, and we don't leave everything out at the farm stand overnight. So
take it in.
bringing all that inside after dark and then taking it back out first light, So I just kept thinking all these tiny little things that I was trying to remember to take care of every day. And I decided this week, especially, I really missed Neil's muscles because everything is cumbersome and heavy.
Mm-hmm. Big
Did you
pail of
know?
milk.
Did you know that hay bales are very heavy?
I've heard.
So
Just think of the muscles you're getting.
that's what I was actually trying to tell myself. And we give her alfalfa hay also, but that pulls off in flakes. You only give her a couple of flakes a day, so that's
Mm-hmm.
manageable. But the orchard grass hay or whatever you call it comes in these big tight bales, and she ran out yesterday. I was really hoping it would last until Neil got back in town, but she ran out, and so I was pulling a wagon over to it and trying to topple it onto the wagon and then dragging it to the barn and then trying to like shove it over to where it's supposed to go. And
You need Carl's phone number?
I know. So when he got home late last night and I was like, oh, I just missed you so much. I missed you. I missed you. I missed you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so glad you're back.
Mm-hmm.
And just the time factor, he goes out there to the barn twice a day with me every day. And so it just helps. It cuts everything in half,
Yeah.
how much time it takes. And
Mm-hmm.
so anyway, he was like, you just use me. You just
Mm-hmm.
you just miss me for what I do. I
Oh,
was
you
like,
love his brains and his
well,
brawn.
yes, I miss all of that. But
Well,
yes,
how is the farm
especially
stand going?
it's kind of slow.
Yeah.
It's kind of slow. I think we had a purchase one day. I'm pretty sure it's somebody that we know that's trying to
Uh-huh.
be supportive. The reason I say that is because it was last Wednesday and it was thunderstorming that day. And so I never put out the sign and I never took out the rest of the product. There were only a
Mm-hmm.
few things out there. And not only that, but I have these little chalkboard signs next to each item. They were all still flipped down because I try and protect them, from the
Yeah.
weather. But at the end of the day, somebody bought $20 worth of stuff. They stuck a $20 bill in the lockbox, and a few little miscellaneous items were missing exactly $20 worth.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought this has to be somebody I know because nobody else would have stopped. They would have
Yeah.
said, the sign's not out, there's no product out, all the other little signs are down. So I think a friend or family member
Yeah. Well,
drove by and was determined to be supportive and scrounged up $20 worth of product and bought it.
there's easily that. I mean, I would love to shop there, but y'all are just enough out of town. I think that you've got neighbors, I know, but it's not exactly on
Yeah,
a main thoroughfare.
it's not. And I tried putting it, I posted a couple of things on Marketplace this week just about the farm stand, and the kids were like, it looks like you're selling your farm stand. So,
Leave it to your kids to be truthful,
yeah,
huh?
so I had to reword that one. And then I made some apple pie granola, which I
Mm,
I was trying to do like if I do like a daily feature and then I can put it in Marketplace. And I got this great big chalkboard sign to hang up over our fence
hmm.
that I put daily feature, today's feature, apple pie granola and crickets. That didn't. And Janelle
I
painted us
don't
a,
like crickets in my apple pie granola. That
yeah,
doesn't sound
no,
very
no,
good.
there were no, Carla. Oh,
Oh,
you're being obtuse. So Janelle painted us this big sign to put at the end of the road, but I've decided we're going to wait and put that up when we get back from
yeah.
the cruise because I don't want to start directing traffic if it works, and then there'll
Hmm.
be like 3 weeks of nothing there.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but anyway, so Neil's plans of the farm stand supporting us in retirement. It's
It's a slow
probably
process.
probably
You're working your way up. You might have $40 by the end of 2024, huh?
well, I have
No.
learned don't put out perishable things yet. It really needs to be like canned things or I've got like bombs and things like that that have a
Mm,
shelf life. But if I do some kind of baked goods, because planning to do like maple cinnamon rolls and sourdough bread and things like that. But if I'm not getting traffic and I do all those baked goods, then they just go bad.
well, if
So
you had maybe started like a advertising and have a specialty every day of the week, like Wednesday is always your apple pie granola, and Thursday is always your
mhm.
cinnamon buns, and Friday is
Yeah,
always homemade bread or whatever, then people know what to expect. And
yeah, that's a
I
good
mean,
idea.
I just think that probably takes time to grow a following and something like
Yeah.
that.
I kind of thought about just being open on the weekends,
Hmm.
but a lot of times we're gone on
Yeah.
weekends. There's always a lot going on the weekends, so that's not really good either. So
Well, and then
it's all right.
the fall and winter would be better for your perishable stuff too, because
Mm-hmm.
especially on cold days, you could put things out that it won't matter.
Yeah.
It's kind of like being in the fridge anyway.
Yeah, it is. So,
Yeah. Well, have you made ice cream this week?
no, no, because Neil's been gone.
Oh, that's
So
right.
I try to eat better when he's not in town.
Hmm. I
No,
understand
I
that.
don't need to eat that ice cream every night by myself.
Well,
Right before
you
we
might
go on
not
a
need
cruise.
to, but you'd want to.
I do want to for sure.
Hmm.
I also
Yeah.
want to eat powdered donuts and pizza.
Wouldn't that just be fun to be able to just eat whatever you, anyway, we digress
Yes,
again.
that needs to be a whole episode. If we could just eat whatever we want, what would
Yeah.
it be?
Yeah, there'd be a whole episode of lots of different things,
Uh,
right?
if you can put in a request for heaven,
Flavor.
can I please just eat whatever I want?
Yeah. I see nothing wrong with that. Sounds good to
Oh,
me.
yeah. What
So
else is new with you?
we went and did that Royal Gorge train on
Mm-hmm.
Saturday. And it was fun, but it wasn't what I expected. And I probably, if I had done my research, I would have found this out ahead of time. But there was no foliage. I was really, we wanted to go in September because
Mm-hmm.
that's when the aspens change. And I was thinking it was in Canyon City. So in my mind, south and west of Colorado Springs is mountains,
Mm-hmm.
but it was a canyon, which duh, a gorge, is a
Mm-hmm.
canyon. So you're in on the train in the bottom of the canyon that runs along the side of the river, and you're looking up at the cliff, cliff on either side. And I know you said you walked across the bridge, and we ended up not
Mm-hmm.
doing that. It was like $32 a person just to walk across the bridge.
Yeah.
And I don't have a huge fear of heights, but I don't love them. And it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't enough for us to pay 60 some odd dollars for both of us to walk across. So we stayed on the train, and we had intended to go with some friends, and they ended up not being able to go. But so we sat across from this couple, John, he's going to strike up a conversation. In fact, I'm a little embarrassed to admit this, but on the way down, I said, now remember, this is kind of like a date. So it's you and me, so, I mean, we can talk to whoever, because when we bought the ticket, it said you will likely be sitting across from someone. So I said, we're going to be friendly, but let's talk to each other, not just to people across from us the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, okay, all right, I'll remember that. Because, I mean, you know him, he's just going to
Yes.
do that.
Yeah.
And which I love about him, but also, don't want to spend the whole time talking to other people. But that's what we did. But it was
Mm-hmm.
fun, as
Yeah.
usual, when you just focus on not being disappointed about whatever. So we sat across from this couple from Indiana. Their names were Dan and Holly, and they had retired a few years ago they owned like five, you would have loved it, five greenhouses, and they had their own florist shop.
Oh.
So they employed quite a few people. And I was just thinking and I told them one of my favorite scents is just when you walk into a flower shop
Mm-hmm.
and that heavenly smell of roses and whatever flowers there are. But
Mm-hmm.
anyway, it was fun. It was kind of a tight squeeze. So it was just like sitting in a booth um at Denny's or somewhere like that. And
Yeah.
our knees were bumping into their knees. And so we had gotten tickets to the train car that has the window that in the pictures looks like it goes all across the ceiling, but of course it doesn't. It was about shoulder height to, maybe it was over my head,
Mm-hmm.
but it was also like double paned. So it was cloudy that between the glass panes was cloudy. So it wasn't great viewing out the window. There was no color, no foliage. So it
Oh.
wasn't what I thought, but it was still really neat and enjoyable. And it took about an hour and 30 minutes, but we went outside to the outdoor viewing car, and we could see we were out there when we went under the bridge, and there's a zip line that goes across from one
Mm-hmm.
side to another, and there's also a cable car, so we saw people on the cable car. So it was a fun day. After that, we drove up in the mountains, and us with about 40,000 of our closest Colorado friends bumper to bumper on Guanella Pass, you can imagine.
Oh no, that's a pretty drive though.
It was a pretty, it wasn't a drive. It was more of a
Park.
scooch, stop. Yeah.
Oh
And
no.
then we got to the top, kind of the top area to kind of make the curve. And there was a car. This is why it was bumper to bumper, not just because there was a zillion people, but a car had just parked on the road. I guess they got tired of waiting for a parking spot and they just parked there. And I thought, if everybody did things like that, it would just be chaos. And it already kind of is. But I was just so aggravated at that person for just parking in the middle of the road. Then everyone was having to take turns going around them.
Yeah,
so anyway,
pretty thoughtless.
Yeah,
we've done the cable car there, but it was years and years ago. Our boys were still young, and I remember being disappointed. But we went, I guess, at an off season because all the cute little things that they had set up that you can usually enjoy. They had lemonade and pretzels and some little fun activities. All that was closed. And so we basically just rode the cable car and then walked across the bridge, and that was it. And I felt like we drove all the way here for this.
Yeah. So you didn't ride the train. Y'all just did
the train.
Yeah. Well, it was a nice day. I would do it again, but I wouldn't buy tickets to, it was a little more expensive to ride in that particular train car. But we went past, there was a campground for people, I guess, that do the rapids, ride the rapids. But there was a bunch of yurts along the side of the river, and they all had like a hammock swing in front and like a picnic table area in a little lean-to right next to it. And when we were riding by, the people running the train car said that the yurts rented for $200 a night, and then they had an Airstream trailer park right above it, and those went for $300 a night. So not cheap.
Did they still have that swing thing that went out over the gorge?
I didn't see it. If they did, I wouldn't be surprised.
I would not do that.
No.
I would walk across that bridge, but I would not. This thing, people were climbing up and getting on it, and they would swing way out over the gorge and then back, and then swing way out over the gorge.
Yeah, I don't need that kind of thrill in my life.
That's right.
How wide is the bridge?
Oh, it's wide. It doesn't feel, I mean, you can get a little vertigo-y kind of feeling when you're up to the edge looking over, but just walking down it, it doesn't feel like it's unstable in any way, or it feels pretty solid.
I think they said it's the highest suspension bridge at least in the States, maybe not in the world, but in the States.
Wow.
Or whatever kind of bridge it is. I think it's a suspension bridge. But
well, very cool. Glad you got to do that.
Yeah. What'd y'all do this weekend? Was Neil gone the whole time?
Yes. Yeah. He left Saturday.
Then what'd you do this weekend?
Well, I had a ladies' day.
Oh, that's right. You told me about that. Sorry.
And then Sunday, our number was really, really down at Lehman Avenue because everybody's on fall break. And here, when everybody goes on fall break, they all go at the same time. We literally were missing about 100 people.
Oh, wow.
From everybody leaving the state. They all go to Hilton Head or Gulf Shores or, that kind of thing. So it's, we really miss everybody.
Kind of the last fling before wintertime, huh?
Right.
I didn't have a fall break growing up. We had a spring break, but never had a fall break.
Yeah, same here. Seems like there was spring break and summer vacation, and that was it.
Yeah. Well, did I tell you about the bed that that Alyssa designed for Turner?
I don't think so.
So she is 2.5. Yeah, her birthday's end of March. So she's been sleeping in their closet since she was born. And I mean, granted, they have a big closet, but she's been
the closet in the master bedroom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, not in her closet. No, she's in a closet under the stairs. No, she's been sleeping in Jake and Lissa's closet. Sorry, Jake and Lissa, if you don't want people to know that, but I think it's funny. It's a big closet, and it's dark, and they have their setup for her. They have a little sound machine and stuff, and she sleeps fine. But here they've got a baby coming, and so the baby's going to have to take that spot in the closet. And so in their house, they have, when you go up the stairs, there's like a kind of a sitting room, just a flex room, whatever you want to call it, before you get to their bedroom. And it has a wall of windows, and it has a spiral staircase that goes up to a little catwalk that overlooks, they have a really pretty view of Fort Worth. And so they were trying, but well, and another thing was that her room downstairs, Turner's room, it's downstairs and they're upstairs. And it just, I know they felt a little bit like it would not be real safe to leave her down there by herself. Sorry, I'm having to plug my iPad in. So Alyssa designed this bed. It looks, have you seen like a book nook that's built into a window?
Right.
So in that flex room, before you get to their room, she designed that it fits up against the corner, and it has drawers underneath, and it's a twin size. I think it's a twin size mattress, might be a full size, and she's got curtains that she put in there and a light fixture, and so they got Micah to build it, and so he built it in San Antonio, most of it anyway, and then in pieces, and then took it up there. It was either last weekend or week before, and installed it. And it's just the cutest thing. It's like one of those talk about cozy little book nook type things that even when Turner outgrows it, or Darcy may use it too, but it'd be a neat little area to sit and read books, because it's up against windows and you have a view outside, but they're putting curtains, darkening curtains so that they can close that and it won't be light in there. Anyway, it was just the neatest little thing. I would love to have a little bed like that.
Her creativity and Micah's skills. Great combination.
Yeah.
That's neat. Do you have
cozy.
a picture?
Hint, hint. Yes, I have pictures. I'll send them to you.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good lead in. That's a good segue into our topic. But let me say really quick, tonight we're going to find out what our newest grandbaby is, a boy or a girl.
That's exciting.
Yeah. So
gender reveal.
Do you have a guess?
I'm going to go with the girl.
You are? Then I'm going to say boy.
Okay. So one of us will be right, one way or another. Right. How are they going to do it? Is it going to be like an exploding cannon or a cake?
It is some kind of exploding thing, because Carl said, do you mind if what we do, it makes a lot of noise because it's at our house? And I said, no, I will let our neighbors know ahead of time. And then it also needs to be, we're expecting rain tonight. And he said, we have to do it before the rain hits. So I think it's going to involve a colored powder exploding out of something.
Explosives. Not at all surprised.
For Rich, it came out of the exhaust of their car. He, peeled off, and then the smoke that came out of the exhaust was either blue or pink, and it was blue, of course. So
I didn't know that. That's clever. I've never seen that one, but it doesn't surprise me that Carl wants to have explosives and noise.
Exactly.
Does he still have that train whistle for his horn?
I don't know if he still has it or not. I don't feel like I've heard that in a while, and he has a different truck now, so maybe he doesn't.
Scared me to death.
That was obnoxious.
It was. He pulled up behind us at PTP one time, and was that train whistle. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's get back to the cozy segue. We are going to talk about making your home cozy. Oh, let me look at the time. 25 minutes in. And I really wanted to have this conversation with you so that you can teach us your ways, Carla Moore, because you are the queen of cozy. You know how to, we've talked about this before, you know how to take sort of sterile, inhospitable spaces even, and transform them into cozy, warm, and welcoming spaces. So we thought it'd be fun just to chat about it, especially since we're in fall now, and this is a great time to talk about cozy things. So I didn't really come up with a list or anything. I was just thinking we could just kind of chat about it, have a conversation. Yeah. And then I do have a pen and paper so that I can take notes.
Well, thanks for the compliment. I don't know.
Tell me what to do.
I don't know. Other than I was looking to kind of see what do most people consider cozy. And I was thinking about it, and I always think of wintertime being the cozy season, because in the summertime, you don't really want to be cozy. You want to be cool.
Right.
So all of my thoughts kind of went towards wintertime and fires and warmth and all that kind of stuff. What about you? What do you think?
Yeah, same, especially leading into fall, the different smells, and the colors, they're cozier colors in my mind. And
Hmm.
and I was thinking when we knew we were going to talk about this, that really what's cozy for one person isn't necessarily cozy for another person. I think it's one of
Yeah.
those, there are some things that I guess in general are like candles and fuzzy blankets, and you think about certain things that are cozy, but an environment can be different levels of cozy for different people. I guess what I'm trying to say is somebody could walk into an all white room or an all gray room and it makes them feel good,
Hmm.
and for
Clean.
me, yeah, for me, it feels cold. It feels
Uh-huh.
sterile. It does not feel cozy at all. I've never wanted an all white anything.
Yeah.
But so I think your tastes and how you react to certain colors, plays a part in it. But for our homes, the objective is to make it someplace that you can relax and feel peaceful. And when people walk into your home, they feel welcomed. They feel like they can just take a deep breath and be
Hmm.
comfortable. And so that's the objective. What does that look like? How can we get it? I think there's more than one answer, but I think they're all really easy and doable and fun.
It's funny that you say, teach me your ways, because when I think of what this little place looked like before you got a hold of it, and I know it wasn't just you, but you were the one, the driving force behind it. And so 2016, September, we were here for lectureship and trying to figure out where we're going to live when we come up for the 2 quarters that we're here. And Danny walks us through this house. and and
Welcome home.
it was it was interesting. It was offices and storage at the time when we walked through. And I remember walking in the front door, and right here where I'm sitting, there was like a desk. And I guess it was where the receptionist was at one point.
Mm-hmm.
And behind me was that the wall that was closed off, and it was somebody's office. I think it changed people all the time. The bathroom was pink Pepto Bismol, 60s, which is back. People like that now, and
Yeah.
it's pretty, I guess, if you are into the vintage house decor. And but I remember there was things sitting in the tub. I don't know, it was like a bucket and so it made me think that it wasn't functioning real well. I think the toilet was even pink, if
That
I
was
remember
probably
right.
the bucket was probably to help you flush the toilet.
Probably so. And I mean, it was just storage. And then he took us in the basement. That probably was a mistake, because I heard the psycho when I went down there.
Yeah.
But so that was September. And then January we came back, and I remember on the drive up, y'all were still working on it.
Yes.
And you had completely transformed this place. And I walked at the door, and it was like you had lamps going, you had candles burning, you'd brought in ficus trees, just the faux plants, foliage and
Mm-hmm.
things like that. You had the walls painted a warm color. There's not a lot you can do about fluorescent light fixtures.
Mm-hmm.
Those are just, they are what they are. But the bedroom, you had put pictures up, or art. I don't know what you call the wooden art with words. And I mean, you made this place into a home when before it was just completely, it was scary, honestly. It was very office like and sterile. I wasn't worried about it. I don't remember even thinking a thought. I thought if I knew if you had your hand in it, it'd be fine. But I had no idea what all you did to make this place into a home. So you need to talk about what your thought process was when you were working on it.
Well, me and about 20 other people.
Yeah,
We
I know
had a
you had
big,
help.
big
Mm-hmm.
painting party and gut party, and Denny Petrillo went and bought the flowers. So there's that also.
Flour. Oh,
Fresh flowers
to
for the
put on the
table.
table. Yeah.
Yeah. So there were a lot of hands involved in that. But that
Yeah.
was kind of easy because the transformation was so drastic because of what it was to begin with.
Yeah. Well, you made a
You
silk
took
purse out of
it,
a sow's ear for sure.
yeah, you really took it from there and have, made it beautiful and a good space. But I was going to share a couple of books. One of them Do you remember me talking about Huga
Hmm.
in one of our very first
Yeah.
episodes? It was like the second or third episode. It
Uh-huh.
was really early on.
Because I had no idea what Huga was
Yeah,
or how to say it.
the word is spelled Hygge, but it's pronounced Huga. And I've got this book called The Little Book of Huga. It's Danish Secrets to Happy Living, but Huga is just being cozy, creating a sense of like a feeling of coziness. And so, really, the whole book is all these different chapters on how to bring elements of coziness into your home. And I may have shared this story last time, I can't remember, but the same author, I don't know if it's in this book or a different one, but the same author, he's the CEO of the Happiness Research Institute
Oh,
in
happy guy.
Copenhagen. Happy guy. He tells the story about how um, he made a move somewhere and he was, to a brand new city and he was looking for a new coffee shop. Did I share this story on here?
I don't remember if you did.
And so he said he had three objectives with his coffee shop. The coffee needed to taste good, the coffee shop needed to be within a good distance of his new home, walking distance or close by, and it needed to have a good price point. Those were his three objectives. And so he goes around and he tries every coffee shop within, who knows how long of his house. And this one um, that he ended up choosing that ended up becoming his very favorite coffee house. He said the coffee tasted like fish water. It was
Ugh.
overpriced and it was far away from his home. So why did that end up becoming his favorite? He said it was how he felt when he walked in the door.
Hmm.
They had these cozy chairs, like upholstered, fabric
Mm-hmm.
upholstered chairs in a cozy setting around a fireplace. And there was always like warm chatter. And he said there was just something about walking in that building that just enveloped him with this sense of warmth and welcome, that's where he ended up going, even though the coffee was horrible. so, so from that premise, he talks about how people will overlook a lot of things if something makes them comfortable and feel welcome. And
Yeah.
I actually used that in a class one time to talk about, people looking for their church family. A lot of times we lose sight of what it's really all about just because of how we feel
Mm-hmm.
when we walk in the door. And, my point with that, not that I'm trying to digress too much, but it's our responsibility to have both, truth
Sure.
and this welcoming, warm, and loving environment. But
Mm-hmm.
so that's kind of what this book is about, is how to create that in your home. So I would love for people to feel so warm and welcomed in my home that they overlook a lot of other things, like the dusty baseboards and, you
Yeah.
know, windows that need washing and all that kind of stuff. And then the other book that I wanted to share is this one is called The Gentle Art of Hospitality.
Mm.
And it's by Alda Ellis. It's got beautiful artwork in there. The subtitle is Warm Touches of Welcome and Grace. And it's about hospitality, but really a big emphasis in the book is about your home and how to make your home comfortable. And it talks about hospitality begins at the door, and then it gives a chapter on each of the five senses. And so this book is about how if you emphasize each of the five senses in your home environment, um, so sight, what is the first thing people see when
Mm-hmm.
they walk in, or smell, we kind of become nose blind to how our home
Yeah.
smells. Uh,
Don't you wonder
or
what yours smells like?
Yes,
I always wonder what mine smells like.
I often wonder that. Hearing, do you have racket or a blaring TV, or do you have something soft and soothing? Taste. So think about the textiles and fabrics and different textures, and then that's touch, and then
Mm.
taste, greeting them with something. But uh, so this one's good because you can literally just go through chapter by chapter and incorporate some of these in your own home so that it feels warm and welcoming when people walk in. But look at the artwork in this book. Can you see that?
Oh,
Isn't that
that's
cute?
fun. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So anyway, The Gentle Art of Hospitality and The Little Book of Huga. Both they're easy, quick reads, lots of good ideas and fun things for
You
making
always
your
have the
home
best
cozy.
books.
I am a reader.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you like the nonfiction stuff and stuff like that. And I like for you to read it and tell me about it.
Okay, I can do that.
Well, I was thinking like I'm trying to think, what is my ultimate cozy night at home? And the kind of night that you're like, okay, I can't wait for tonight because it's going to be this way.
Yes.
And
I'm already picturing it.
yeah, to me, it's a fire roaring in the fireplace, and it's vegetable soup with beef in it. I like, sirloin steak cubed up, and the big hearty potatoes and carrots and celery and all that.
So you have a recipe for this? Because I've
I
actually been
do.
on the hunt for a good vegetable soup
Yeah.
recipe.
Well, I mean, everybody has their own things that they like about it, but it's my mom, so of course it's what I
Oh.
grew up with and like. But it's cornbread, homemade cornbread,
Mm.
and you pour the soup over the cornbread, let it soak in, and eat it that way. That's the good way. And
You're good
maybe
at
it's
those pour over soups. Your lasagna soup, you pour over a cheesy
yeah,
yum yum.
that's a good one too. That's probably another good cozy night soup. But like I tend to think it's Christmas time, and maybe the tree is up and you're baking Christmas cookies, and you've got music playing in the background that's soft, but it's Christmas, those old. I hope that those oldies Christmas don't ever go out.
Me too.
Trying to think Andy Williams and Bing Crosby and
Crosby.
that era of Christmas music. It's just the best. But that's to me, and that incorporates just what all you're talking about. It has all of the sight and the sound and the smell and the texture and the taste.
Mm-hmm.
So you're right. I think that really has everything to do with it. It's how it just, rather than it being an assault on your senses, it's just you walk in and you just take a deep breath and go, whew. You can just let out stress of the day, and you feel at home and you feel embraced by your home. So that would be my ultimate cozy night. What about yours?
I would add to that all of those things. And I would add to that walking in the door and changing into something very comfortable.
Yeah.
I tend to do that anyway. As soon as I walk in, I want to change clothes and get into something very comfortable. And I wear slippers around the house with fuzzy socks year round, just every 365 days out of the year. When I come home, I change into my fuzzy socks and slippers. And to me, that makes me comfortable.
Yeah.
And knowing that there's nothing else going on in the evening, that
Yes, that's a big one.
you have the whole evening in,
Nothing hanging over your head.
just makes my heart sing.
Yeah.
And knowing that you can just come in and enjoy a quiet evening with the people that you love, eat some good food, maybe curl up with a cup of coffee in the recliner after, and I don't know, just to me, I don't know if it's as I get older, but the idea of staying in is a huge cozy thing.
Yeah.
And so, and I was also thinking about, I noticed when I pin recipes, this time of year, I'm already shifting into those cozy meal
Soups.
type recipes, like you were talking about with the vegetable soup. I just saved a couple that I want to try. And one of them was this kind of potato and sausage. It was called a goulash, but it's like kielbasa sliced up and caramelized onions and paprika and sliced potatoes and garlic. And, it's like a one pot wonder. But what drew my attention to it was the recipe actually described itself as the ultimate cozy meal. So yeah. I was like, oh, do tell. Let me read about this one. And
with a good crusty bread.
Yes,
to
exactly.
Dip into it.
That's what they recommended. Exactly. And jotted. Oh, another one was bless you.
Sorry.
Was that a sneeze?
No, that was a cough.
Well, then I take back my bless you.
You don't bless me anyway with a cough.
You can't. It's only for sneezes.
Okay.
The other one was sour cream beef noodle casserole. I ran across that one. That sounded amazing.
That's like that sour cream noodle casserole that my mom made.
Yeah.
Does it have cottage cheese in it?
I haven't actually read all the ingredients yet. I just saw the picture and the title and saved it. But there was a cookbook. We used to use a curriculum with our boys called Sunlight many, many years ago. And they would give out a Sunlight cookbook every year. And one of them, there was a very similar recipe. It was egg noodles, some kind of tomatoey sauce, and sour cream and cheese, and I can't remember what all was in there, but it was kind of all layered up. Oh, ground
Yeah.
beef, of course, all
Yeah.
layered up, and it was so good. And this one looked very similar to that. So, but all the cozy recipes in the summer, you're eating so much lighter because you're spending a lot of time outside in the heat. But in the
Mm-hmm.
winter, when it's time to hunker in, get in the kitchen and
Pile on
start
the weight.
baking. Baking and cooking, and the steam coming up from the stove.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things to do that feels cozy for me in the kitchen is anything that's slow cooked.
Mm-hmm.
So if it has a long low bake in the Dutch oven in the oven, or a long bake in your crock pot,
Makes the house
just
smell good.
just makes it. But just putting it together is
Mm-hmm.
cozy for me. And
Yeah.
compared to something that you'd like a quick fry or something on the stove top. But anything slow cooked, long baked feels cozy. Putting all the vegetables, like think about the pot roast, you're putting the vegetables in the crock pot, and it's going to cook all day long and be waiting for
Mm-hmm.
you at the end of the day.
Yeah.
That feels real cozy.
I love those days in the wintertime when even if you have to leave in the morning to go to work or do whatever, but they are talking about a cold front that's coming.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe it's sunny in the morning, but you see those approaching clouds, and they said that temperature's going to drop 30 degrees in an hour. And, we're expecting some rain. Of course, in Texas, we don't get a lot of sleet or snow, but when it does, it's a big deal. Everybody goes home and stays there because we don't know how to drive on ice. Nobody knows how to drive on ice, but even sleet and snow, anything that comes, we close everything down. But I love being inside when that cold front hits. And sometimes in Texas, it's very obvious. Like 1 minute it's fine, and then the next. And then our this is a bad thing, but at home in Texas, our windows are not double paned. So as soon as it gets cold outside and it's warm inside, the windows fog up and start trickling a little bit of water, and I have to wipe them down. But it's just evidence that it's the temperature's changing, and it's cold outside, but it's warm inside. So, I mean, that's just kind of a picture of the world and the church, isn't it? Because it's cold outside, and it's should be, hopefully is, warm inside and welcoming, and you want to be there, and you want to just hunker down and be protected by the inside instead of the what's going on outside.
Yeah, and I think it's no mistake that a lot of times God compares the church to the family, the home. And if we're making our homes, you think about what makes it cozy and the things that we've been talking about. We're not talking about some perfectly curated, orchestrated, pretentious,
show place.
Everything is just right and purposefully so. And then you walk in and you feel like you just can't relax. You can't breathe or be yourself, but you walk into somebody's home and it's not perfect. It's lived in.
Yeah.
And it makes you want to live in it, and it's the same way, like you were saying, with God's family, with the church family. You're not walking in and finding people that are putting on airs, everything is perfect about them. They're very lived in. Yeah. We all are. And we just want people to feel welcome and to see Christ's love in us. And we're doing the same thing with our homes when we're inviting people in. Is welcome, come into our imperfect lives, make yourself comfortable. What can we do to make you comfortable? It really is a gift to invite people into your lived in home and be vulnerable enough to do that.
Well, another thing that I was thinking about that is a kind of a spiritual analogy, that creating a cozy home or a comfortable home, or the kind of home that you walk into and you just want to, blow a deep breath and just settle down. It takes time. It's created over time. And it doesn't, you can hire someone to make your home look, you tell the interior designer, I want my home to look cozy. I want this color walls. I want rugs on the floor. I want whatever. But to me, a really cozy home, like in yours, you look around and you've got things from Africa. You've got things from all of the different places you've been. You've got books that you've read. It happens over time because you collect things that mean something to you, and they're conversation pieces, not necessarily carefully curated conversation pieces, but there's, your grandmother's big wooden bowl sitting on your coffee table, and you can talk about what that was used for back in whatever 1941. Or you might have, there's just all kinds of things that you can have sitting around that mean something to you and other people don't know about. But that to me, it takes time, just like it takes time for us to become who God wants us to be. And we might start off, I don't want to make this sound bad. We sometimes can start off on fire and just roar our way out the gate, and we have to kind of settle down into a comfortable flame that continues to burn rather than burns itself out, or just getting to be comfortable in who we are and what we do, what we can do for God, what talents that we have and what abilities we have, and be comfortable with that. So I think a comfortable, cozy home is crafted and curated over time, and it just takes time to become the Christian that God wants us to be too. We can't expect ourselves to be that immediately.
Yeah, I love that. I was thinking about that too, that it takes time to build a home that you love and feels cozy. And it's not something that you can just shop for on Amazon, throw it all into a cart and it shows up at your home in 2 days and you put it together.
Yeah.
And it, like you said, it's a collection. And from memories or places that you've been. And when I look around our home, that's not a skill of mine, to decorate. And my sister, you're really good at it. My sister's really good at it. I know people that's definitely a skill of theirs. It's just not a skill of mine.
Well, I disagree, but
thanks.
Yeah, I do, but keep going.
But I love our home because of what you were saying. I look in different rooms and I see reminders of things that are important to us, of experiences with our children or our parents, or places that we've been, things that Neil and I have experienced together throughout our long years of marriage together, and those are the irreplaceable things that just represent you. And I think too that that's a big part of making a home cozy, is that authenticity that comes from it represents you and your family and what's important to you and what you love. And when you walk into somebody's home and you can see that extension of themselves, it just feels natural and comfortable. And like you were saying, you can kind of relate all of that back to that comfort of being in Christ allows you through him to be yourself and to be your true self, no pretension, feeling comfortable enough to be who God made you to be and serve in the way he has equipped you to serve, and accepting that about yourself and using those skills to make others feel welcome too.
Yeah. When you open your home, you're really revealing a lot about yourself. And we don't do that much anymore.
No, we don't.
I was just having this conversation with Shara Wilcox the other night. She was just talking about how we just don't invite people into our homes anymore. Y'all do. We do. I know a lot of it is because we don't have time, or we don't think we have time. We're busy with work schedules or whatever. But I think the main thing for a lot of people is they're ashamed of what maybe ashamed is too strong of a word, but they're maybe embarrassed that things are not in perfect condition. There's piles of laundry, piles of paper, or whatever. And, I agree that can kind of hinder us from doing things like opening our homes. And excuse me, maybe there are times that we don't want to show that part of us. And I get that. I don't really want to have a big group of people over if my house is a mess, but I will. It depends on the occasion. If it's something that we need to do, I will. I'll just shove it all over and we'll sit down at the table anyway. But it just is, to me, revealing about the heart of the people you're visiting with, because when you go in, you see pictures of their grandparents or their grandchildren, or you see, like I'm looking at your piano and the music that's sitting on your piano. And so then there's a conversation. Do you know how to play piano? Well, no, I didn't, but my mom did, whatever. maybe there's an old, what do you call the kind of lamps that the kerosene hurricane lamp? And
Oh,
maybe it
yeah.
belonged to your great aunt who lived through
Mm-hmm.
World War II. And so it's intimacy on a different level. And it creates friendships and bonds that I'm not going to say you can't have that if you don't go in someone's home, but don't you feel
Mm-hmm.
differently about someone when you've been in their home,
Absolutely.
closer to them?
Yes, and I think we talked about this a little bit on the hospitality episode. So if you
Mm-hmm.
haven't, listeners, if you haven't heard that one, you might go back and check it out. But it changes the next time you see each other after you've been in somebody's home. Don't you feel like your smile is a little bit different? It's a little
Yeah,
bit deeper and
warmer.
more
Mm-hmm.
meaningful. You've had a connection with them. And when I think about the homes that I've been in that I always look forward to going to, or I feel good when I walk in, they're not perfect. You
Mm-hmm.
know, there you were talking about what are some of the reasons, maybe we're afraid for people to see our mess or
See our
whatever.
crazy.
Yeah, see our crazy. But when I think about the homes that I've walked away from there just thinking, what a wonderful evening. It didn't have anything to, I don't look back and think, because everything was just pristine and spotless. It had
Mm-hmm.
everything to do with how it made me feel when I walked in that door.
Yeah.
Their smile, their warmth, maybe they offered me a cup of coffee, greeted me with some sort of welcoming bit of hospitality, but it has to do with the mood that was created in that home and the warmth
Mm-hmm.
and kindness and comfort, and natural comfort.
Yeah.
That's what it had to do with. And that was my takeaway.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that if I've ever been into somebody's pigsty home, I didn't recognize that
Yeah.
it was an absolute mess. I'm
Yeah.
not saying that.
Yeah.
And I don't think we would want to offer that to somebody.
Yeah.
But I'm also saying that it's not everything in its place that
Mm-hmm.
makes something cozy. I don't think
Yeah.
so.
No. On that note, and I kind of looked into what does the world say is cozy? And one of the things that someone brought up in a blog was clutter. Clutter does sometimes keep us from feeling that content, relaxed. And it's not necessarily someone else's clutter, but our own.
Mm-hmm.
And so she talked about how to declutter. And I think we did talk about this on the hospitality episode, but I've changed a lot about, I don't think, and I don't have a perfectly clean. I just don't worry about that anymore
Mm-hmm.
because I try to stay on top of things just because that's the way we want to live. And John is very much, he likes kind of a minimal, he doesn't,
Mm-hmm.
it helps him to not have clutter everywhere. And but she gave some tips to declutter, and just common sense things like when you come in with the mail, instead of just tossing it on the table, you go right to the trash can or the
Mm-hmm.
recycle bin or the shredder, whatever, and just immediately take care of it. It only takes a few seconds,
Mm-hmm.
and that prevents it.
Touch
But
once.
yeah, yeah. And then I'll post this next week rather than us spending a lot of time talking about it, but just how you could declutter certain things in 5 minutes, whether it's just, okay, my table, my kitchen, this table always has piles on it because it's just where we put things
Mm-hmm.
when we come in. And it's where I do my scripture writing, and it's where I do pretty much everything. So there's always piles of stuff, but I can just take it off and put it on the floor. And,
Mm-hmm.
once a week, go through it and try to stay on top of it. But I think that just having clutter tends to, depending on personality style, it might not bother some people at all. But if it bothers you, then just take little bites of it here and there, and, maybe make a schedule and do your kitchen counter once a week or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
I think decluttering does help make us feel a little bit more cozy and comfortable. Just my
Yeah.
2 cents worth anyway.
Yeah. Another thing that I was thinking about is just bring life into your home. And if, in the very basic, simple ways, that might be an animal, or if you don't
Mm-hmm.
like animals, I don't really, I prefer the non shedding type in our
Yeah.
home, but some sort of life
Mm-hmm.
element in the home. If it's, animals, plants,
Yeah.
things that you have to nurture, make a
Mm-hmm.
home cozy. And I was thinking, take that a step further though, and create moments in your home that involve life, whether you're having the teens over for a devotional and pizza, and or get a bunch of girlfriends together to play a game, or write memory, scripture writing with you, or just get together for a quiche and pie, a savory and a sweet pie. Hello, there's an idea. Yeah. So just create moments of life in your home. And I feel like that leaves its stamp everywhere you look.
Absolutely.
You can walk into a home and tell if it's been opened before, and if it's had life in there, and it just leaves an imprint, and you can feel that other people feel that when they come in. And if that's missing and your home feels too quiet and empty, we can do something about that. And we can throw open our doors and bring life, invite life into the home. It doesn't have to be a grand, expensive thing. Small scale, quiet, come over for a cup of coffee, one person.
Yeah.
And you've introduced life into your home, and that makes a home warm and cozy. Things happen, conversations happen, prayers happen, memories are made, connections made, and that's what it's all about. It doesn't matter how many throw blankets you have on your couch if you don't ever have people over sharing that with you.
Yeah. My dad used to call little things that are sitting around, whatever the word for it is, he would call them gewgaws. And
like knickknacks?
Grady, knickknacks, yeah.
Knickknacks? Okay.
He'd call them gewgaws. I don't know why. And then Grady would call them Mama's purdies. He'd kind of pretend like he was disgusted with all of Mama's purdies everywhere. But, again, those are pieces of memories. And it's funny to look back. Janice, my mother-in-law, had lots of glass. That was kind of her thing. She loved salad bowls and candlesticks and punch bowls and things like that. And I got 13 salad bowls, wedding gifts, 13. So I have saved some and gave them, regifted some. But anyway, she just loved that. And that I have collected things here and there all over the years, little Boyd's bears and stuff like that. But I finally kind of got rid of some of those things because that's what made me feel cluttered, was too many gewgaws, as Dad would say. But clutter means different things to different people. And I'm not going to walk into somebody's home and say, you shouldn't have this pile here. That's their home, their rules, So I don't want anybody to think that clutter is it just doesn't work for me. And John, I tend to, he doesn't like it either. But one of the things that I think adds to coziness, this is a weird one, but it works for me, is rearranging. And we talked about this a little while back, but I love rearranging.
I jotted that down also.
Yeah. I just rearranged the bedroom this week. John walked past it 4 times and didn't notice it. Finally, I had to say, did you see the bedroom?
And the house you're in now?
Yeah.
I didn't know there was enough room to.
Well, I moved the bed under the window that is by the parking lot.
Oh.
So there's just enough room for the bed and then the nightstands. And then I put the dresser on the wall where the bed was, but I pushed it up against the bookshelf.
Does that make it feel bigger? Because
it does when you first walk in.
Yeah, that was smart.
Yeah, it kind of gives more room in there. And then the lights from the parking lot would shine right into it. We always have to shut the door, but now we don't have to do that. So anyway, I like to rearrange.
Smart, yes.
Yeah.
And it just freshens things up without spending any money. It keeps things interesting and kind of renews your interest when you first walk into the room.
Right.
When your family first walks in the door, things look a little bit different. Good. It does. It makes you feel really good.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Back when I used to think I have to have a style, when all those little quizzes, what's your decorating style? And I never could figure that out because I think, well, I like a little bit of this and I like a little bit of this. And it kind of bothered me that I didn't have a style. And I was always taking those little quizzes online where you could figure out what your style is. And I didn't really agree with any of them. They'd come up with something and I'd say, I don't think so. But one of them had said, if you really have a hard time figuring out your style, what you do is you walk around your entire house. I mean, everything, closets, bedrooms, kitchen, living room, basement, everything. And you pick up 10 to 15 items that are your very favorite things. 10 to 15. What would you never get rid of? What speaks to you the most? What do you just love every time you see it in your home already? And you put it in a big pile. And they could be small things, they could be big things like pieces of furniture or, big wall art, whatever. Just 10 to 15 things, put them all together, bring them from all over your house, put them all together. And then that's essentially your style.
Yeah.
Because that's what speaks to you. And I actually did that. And it was so interesting to me because everything was old.
You're vintage.
I guess so. Everything was just old. It almost had kind of like a colonial bent to it with the furniture and the old mirror and the old dusty books, just everything that I'd be like, yes, I love this. And I would grab it and I put it all together. And I was like, well, that's why nobody can ever style me because I'm just old.
You're an old soul.
But what I learned through all of that is I really kind of don't want to be pigeonholed into a certain style. I really just finally learned that if I love something and it's practical, then I want to bring it into my home, whether it fits a style or an aesthetic or not.
Yeah.
And I think when we give ourselves the freedom to do that, don't try and fit some kind of mold or get caught up in the latest trendy thing, which changes at least twice a year.
Yeah.
Grandma core, cottage core, whatever kind of core. Don't try and find, buy. Remember the farmhouse style?
Yes.
Got real trendy for a while and everything was, but if you just stick to this really speaks to me and it may not even fit everything else, that's okay because that little sense of quirkiness or the unexpected is going to add to your cozy home that speaks of you. Why are you grinning like that?
Because I'm thinking,
did I say something?
No, it was me thinking what spoke to me back in the 80s were those ducks.
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 Oh, yeah. Like the goose.
Ducks and geese. Yeah. And
I had a clock. Did you have a?
I had so many ducks
and
big geese
goose clock in our kitchen.
When I see them now, I'm like, ooh, it changes. And I don't care about style. I don't care if I don't fit some modern decor or whatever. I just don't care because I don't want it to be something inauthentic. It's not that I'm going, oh, that's inauthentic. It's just that it doesn't bring me any joy. And so I want to be surrounded by things that bring me joy. And so, which, like, I guess a few weeks ago during the interview that we did of each other, and I said my style was collected, and Micah said, yeah, Goodwill collected. He agreed with me. But there's a lot of things that have just been handed down. And so I guess some of it too, for me, what did we bring with us when we came to Denver? What was it that I considered essential? And that was kind of interesting to see. I couldn't bring a lot of decor necessarily, although I brought our bedding.
Like home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of it was, even if it was my hand towels in the kitchen, a basket full of my hand towels. Micah and Courtney gave me for Christmas one year, those linen-y type hand towels that have scriptures on them. And that just makes me feel like I'm back at home in my kitchen. And just different little things that came with us, pictures of the kids. And so doing something like that, I think it really makes you see what it is that's important. And it also makes you see what you can live without too. Because if I haven't missed it in a couple of months, it was fun to think about that. Did one of the tips that I thought I would mention that I have loved every year, this time of year, my cousin Jana told me about it. She said, go to the store and buy one of those cinnamon brooms.
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about?
Those things. Yeah, we had one of those on the wall when we were first married.
Yeah, that's another kind of 80s decor. But she said, put it under your couch. It's not necessarily something that you see, but you smell it. It just kind of gives your room, or behind your couch, wherever, just hide it somewhere so that you're getting that cozy cinnamon smell, but
that's
not
genius.
Yeah, it is. And there's other things you can do that with that smell good, not just those cinnamon brooms, but that's just a uniquely fall feel, isn't it? What
Yeah,
is your favorite? What? Finish.
I just discovered a bunch of beautiful pine cones in our backyard.
Yeah.
Sort of in the more woodsy part back there. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
so excited because they're shaped perfectly, just absolutely beautiful. And I just brought in a bunch to put in a big wooden bowl. And I've been looking up how to, you know, how you get the cinnamon scented pine cones?
Uh-huh.
I've been looking up how to make that happen. There's like 3 different ways that you can do it. So I'm going to.
Cinnamon oil or what?
Some are essential oil, some you can dip it in wax
Mm-hmm.
and then put the scent on it because apparently that's the one that makes it last the longest. Or you can simmer them in water with cinnamon sticks and then let them air dry, and then it's supposed to hold the scent. So there's
Yeah,
a bunch
that's
of different ways to do that.
I love pine cones. You can also put peanut butter on them and hang them in the trees outside.
Yeah, with
Peanut butter and seed, bird seed.
bird seed.
That was a
Yeah.
craft from childhood.
Our craft with pine cones was every Christmas with my grandma, we'd put Elmer's glue on the tips of the pine cones and put glitter and beads,
Uh-huh.
or
I
decorate
need
them
to
up
do
like
that
little
on my
Christmas
grands.
trees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is your favorite spot in your house there that's your cozy spot?
My cozy spot, my favorite spot now for sure is the home library
Yeah,
that
I
we've
was thinking you'd say that.
just finished. And oh man, I just love it. Even when I'm not going in there, just walking by it makes me smile.
Mm-hmm.
I love that space. I love all the books and the lamps and the couches and
Mm-hmm.
the fact that it's kind of like I won't go in there unless Neil's with me, and he doesn't typically go in there unless I'm with him, unless he's going over his sermon or something out loud. So
So it
that's
represents togetherness time too.
yes, that's an additional cozy part to me. Is it makes me think of when we know we have a few minutes of downtime and we say, let's go to the library for a little while, and we'll just sit up
Yeah.
there and read and usually take something hot to drink. And
Yeah.
what's yours?
Well, I was almost afraid you were going to ask me that, but I shouldn't have asked you.
You
But
started it.
I know. I don't know if it's too much information or not, but I mean, our
Your
bedroom is
bathroom?
no. Although I like our bathroom at home,
I
but
do too. I love your
our bedroom
bathroom.
is, um, it's just cozy. I like the quilts. I like a quilt more than a
Mm-hmm.
comforter because I just like the patchwork quilts and the pillows you can throw on the bed. And just, I guess it's the same reason for like what you're talking about with your library, because that's our spot.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not something that we really share. Our kids have been in our room, but you don't typically go in someone's bedroom. That's kind of like
Yeah.
it's not necessarily off limits, but it's just kind of like that's our spot. And so it's kind of a little safe haven, and it's just where we can talk, and it's just our own spot. So that's probably my
Mm-hmm.
favorite cozy
Hmm.
spot.
You saying that makes me feel like I need to spend some time in our bedroom because it's probably our weakest link in this entire house.
Really.
And yeah, I've had a bit of trouble with it. It's a bit of a kind of an awkward space, kind
Mm-hmm.
of small. And I think the problem is our furniture is too big for the space. Our
Yeah.
furniture fit our house in Colorado, and I think it's too big. And so we've got this big king size bed, and Neil's chest of drawers is huge.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like you walk in and there's his big dresser. Our bed takes up one whole wall, and then I've got my long dresser, and then I've got like a little, I just lost the word for a makeup stand thing.
Yeah,
What do
I
you
know what
call
you're talking
those?
about. Mm-hmm.
One of those kind of wedged catty corner in the corner because it won't fit
Yeah.
anywhere else. And it just looks more utilitarian,
Yeah.
more functional. I haven't figured out how to make it like when you walk in, just, oh, this is our beautiful space. So you saying that makes me realize that's kind of no bueno. I should spend some time in there and make it more
Well, y'all like
cozy.
to be in there. I know you drink your coffee in there. And
Mm-hmm.
so,
Yeah.
yeah, it just has, I guess, that's usually we're not working in there,
Mm-hmm.
whereas everywhere else in our house, we're going to be answering emails or whatever. Of course, we're still reading stuff on our phone or whatever, but it's just
Mm-hmm.
more of a relaxed, little oasis, I guess, is how I feel about it. And
That's
not just
great.
there, but here.
I
But I
love
guess
that.
so. Maybe it has more to do with who's there rather than what's there.
I love that. So
Yeah.
everybody can think about what is your favorite cozy spot in your home and share it with us. Or, unless you have more to share, what tips do you have for making your home cozy, comfortable, welcoming? I'd love to hear from our listeners too. I know we have, I'm actually thinking of some of the names that we have listening in, and know that we have a lot of women listening that are really good at that.
Cozy
Making a
people.
space, yes, welcoming, beautiful,
What do you
cozy.
do when you're having company? What is like what do you, right? Like 10 minutes before everybody comes, what do you do to cozy your home?
Yeah, I kind of do. I kind of walk through the senses. So
Mm-hmm.
I consider what it smells like, and I'll either have something brewing, burning, simmering, that kind
Mm-hmm.
of thing, and something welcoming when they first walk in. Sometimes I turn on music, sometimes not. If I don't have music, I'll usually have a fan running just for
Mm-hmm.
that kind of
Ambient
keep the
noise.
air move. Yeah, white
Mm-hmm.
noise kind of a thing. You know, arrange the throw blankets. I usually just do that kind of walk through with the senses, the things that
Yeah.
they would experience when they first walk in, and how can I address each of those in a pleasant way.
Mm-hmm. You're the kind of host that has things ready when people get there. And I have never
That,
been able to
yeah,
do that.
that's for my sake, because once everybody gets there, my brain leaves and I can't multitask. I can't
Yeah.
think about what needs to be done and visit with them at the same time.
Yeah.
If that,
Yeah.
if it doesn't happen that way, I tend to get distracted, flustered.
Yeah.
In fact, I told you last week that Jennifer Harrison came over to make soap.
Mm-hmm.
But what I didn't tell you is um, I had unexpected company right before that and didn't have a chance to get everything ready.
Mm-hmm.
And so in my mind, the day was going to go, I would have everything all out and ready to go, like my sister did with me. When I went over there, I'd have a drink ready and everything all lined up and ready to go. And as it turns out, I had nothing out
Yeah.
and hadn't even straightened off my kitchen. I still had like grocery things on the counter. I mean, it was
Yeah.
just completely unprepared. And I felt so just like
Scattered.
brainless, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
scattered when she got here, because I'm going, okay, what all do we need? And I'm trying to figure out, where did I put this, and where did I put this
Yeah.
immersion blender that I only use for soap, and where did I, and I'm shoving things off the counter, and in my mind I'm going, this was not how I envisioned this going down.
But it still worked out fine, didn't it? You
Yeah,
still
because
had
because
fun.
she's a sweetheart.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking what I tend to do, if right before people come, of course, I'm still getting things ready in the kitchen. But, our house in Texas is one big open room. So I can
Mm-hmm.
still do kitchen things while people are there. But I like to light a candle, and
Mm-hmm.
I just almost always have music on. Excuse me. But I try to do it like age appropriate.
Yeah.
If we're having older people, I'll try to do like 50s music or
Mm-hmm.
Frank Sinatra, Sirius XM, whatever. Or if it's younger people, I
Mm-hmm.
always ask Jake for tips on this because he always has good playlists. But I like to turn the lamps on, and if it's wintertime, I like to have a fire. I'm always excited when it's cold enough for a fire, which is not very frequently. But and then I started thinking when I was kind of jotting that down, I thought those are things my mom did. We learned things from our
Oh,
parents. Yeah, she would do
yeah.
all those things. She always had music going, so
Well,
it's
I've always
neat.
heard that food opens hearts.
Yeah,
They used to say something, what was that thing about food being the how to
the
get into a
doorway,
man's heart?
gateway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's really true for everybody. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if you have something small that is already there and ready as soon as they walk in, and you just say, help yourself. What would you like to drink? Hot or cold or whatever. That one gesture, I feel like, just kind of relaxes people and makes them feel welcome and
Yeah.
gives them something to do. And
Yeah.
so that's typically what I try and focus on. But
Yeah.
very
Good.
fun.
Good talk.
Yeah. All right. So, anything else before we shift into something good for you?
No.
You had a great one last week. It looks like that went over well. You
Yeah.
got them all
Yeah.
claimed, right? All your stickers
Yeah.
and
They're
things
all
that you gave
gone.
out.
Mm-hmm.
That was fun. Very fun. What do you have this week?
Well, I meant to look this up ahead of time, but it's Chapel Cast, Bear Valley's Chapel Cast. If I'm
Hmm.
trying to find the link, but I guess I can put that in the group later. But
Mm-hmm.
this week, it's the end of the quarter, and lots of the students, I think, are feeling the stress and kind of discouraged and just trying to get it all done. You know how it always gets that way at the end of the quarter. And so I think Michael Height is in charge of chapel this month. but he's out. He actually broke a bone in his foot. I'll tell you about that later. But so he asked all of this faculty, not all of them, but I know on Monday it was Wayne, Tuesday was Donnie, Wednesday was Denny, today is John's, and I'm not sure who's doing it tomorrow, but they're all trying to kind of give them some encouraging things to think about. And I don't know how quickly. That's what I wanted to look up and see if some of the chapel casts were already up, because what's on chapel cast right now is lectureship. But there's so many good things from chapel that every day we record chapel, and you'd be really, I know you wouldn't be because you've been there, but I think people would be surprised what good little short lessons, there's months worth of information you could listen to on there, and it's a great way to spend your time. So I will put a link to Chapelcast in the group next week, and that would be a good thing to start with. That's my good thing for you this week.
Yeah, and if you are listening in for the first time, the group she's talking about is on Facebook. We have a group called Looking Up with Kathy and Carla, and we share things on there that we've talked about in the episode, pictures, links. We have a lot of interaction with our listeners. So if you're new, please join us over there, and you can find what Carla is talking about.
Yeah.
Okay. Something good for you that I'm sharing is a fall drink, because of Cozy Factory. See what I did there? So I ran across this one several years ago when my boys were smaller. It's called a warm spiced milk, which you wouldn't like because we just talked about the fact that you don't like the idea of warm milk.
What's that flavors in it?
All right. So it's got milk, and then apple butter, real maple syrup, cinnamon, and ground cloves. And you just whisk it all together and heat it up. You can do it on the stovetop. You can do it in the microwave. You just heat it up over low heat until the milk steams, and then pour it into a mug and sip it, and it is fall in a cup, and it is delicious. But I wrote down where I first found it from. It was Goose. Do you remember those Gooseberry Patch?
Yes.
Cookbooks.
I can see it in my mind.
Yeah, they always had the really cute covers. It was in one of those Gooseberry Patch Blue Ribbon family favorites. I wanted to give credit where credit was due, but I'll share the recipe for that in the group also.
That sounds good.
Yeah. Well, that was a fun conversation.
Yeah.
All right. I hope you have a great weekend, and for all of our listeners, a great week since you're hearing this on Monday.
Have a great day, whatever day it is you're listening.
Have a great day, wherever you are and whatever you're doing. Enjoyed it, and